Hello people, so welcome to my review of One Piece chapter 1059, and boy oh boy, this was a world building overload of what happened whilst we were on Wano. Also showed us things that happened on Wano towards the end, which I'll get into. This was a great chapter of One Piece to come back to after 2 weeks, so let's start off with the cover page. It's an interesting development because we see Oden and Katakuri affected by hallucination gas, so they're punching each other. Meanwhile, I'm assuming the Vince Smokes are elsewhere, or they're behind the smoke, because we saw them in the last chapter, and we saw Caesar Cloud covering them, so that was actually pretty smart thinking on Caesar Cloud, although I have to say, I'm not too sure how Katakuri didn't see this coming with Future Sight, but if he was using advanced armament hockey like I mentioned, he can't do both, so that would explain why he couldn't see that coming, if that was the case. I don't know what General are going to do, if they're going to actually defeat both Oden and Katakuri, or if they're just going to dip, which I expect. But we start off at Whitebeard's homeland near Sphinx in the New World with Marco on Shanks' ship, and I guess he was being asked, you're really not going to join my crew, which makes sense because of the first time we saw Marco, he was asked by Shanks, hey, would you like to be a part of my crew? And Marco's like, screw you. So that was actually a cool write-off, because it looks like this could, all intents and purposes, be the end for Marco. That Wano could have been his last fight, because he says, I'm way too old, I'm worn out to keep playing babysitter. So Marco's not going to be affiliated with Shanks. He's pretty much going to go off on his own, because technically speaking, he's pretty much on his own. Izo's dead. There's only I don't know how many might be pirates are left, thanks to Weevil, which, by the way, I'm expecting we'll see soon, considering we saw Boa Hancock in this chapter. But then we get the Yamato damage control, because it's pretty much implied that it's not Luffy who denies Yamato to join the crew. Yamato's the one who says, I'm going to stay behind because of what happened with the Green Ball. Alone isn't a problem, except, number one, the build-up to Yamato was to leave Wano eventually. It's Zoro that says, hey, careful, Yamato, Mama has a lot of pride, don't wound it. And Yamato says, I have an excuse for that, which, two things. Number one, that makes Momonosuke's speech absolutely pointless, because the whole point was to push Yamato, say, hey, you can rely on us to keep Wano safe while you fulfill your dream with the Straw Hats. She's not even, this chapter confirms, she's not even leaving Wano. So she just made that excuse. Like, it's conflicting, because she still wants to be one of the crewmates, but she's like, I can't leave these guys. So on one hand, it's cool because it's typical Yamato, but she's still being chained and shackled. Now this chapter pretty much confirms. I know people are not gonna like to hear this, but she's a better character than Kazuki Oden. Not a stronger fighter. Don't get it twisted. She's a better character. Towards the end, she's like keeping the safety of Wano above her own dream. Oden didn't do that, and if he had, maybe things would have turned out differently. I still think it's damage control, because of all the time you spent trying to build up this to leave Wano. All the interactions with Ace could have been handled a little bit differently. If Yamato joined the Straw Hats was a plot device because she was too strong, fair enough, but I feel like you could have done it a different way. After all the build-up you've had with Yamato leaving Wano eventually, I could definitely see mixed emotions about this. But then we have Marco interacting with Luffy and actually seeing Luffy for the first time since Marineford. And Luffy says, thank you for saving my life. And then Marco says, Ace would be proud to see how far you've come. And Luffy just classically just laughing. So Marco looks like pretty much he's going to be on his own. He's not joining the Red Hair Pirates. He's not joining up with Luffy. So we may see him again, but it looked like, for all intents and purposes, Wano was his last fight, because of, I guess, Izo dying may have been the breaking point. I mean, you can't really blame it. It skips over to Amazon Lily, and we see Boa Hancock for the first time since then. We know Marines led by Kobe were approaching. Now we get the summary of what really went down. And boy, oh boy, I have to say, Boa Hancock, she dodged a bullet, literally. Well, first off, we see she's bandaged up, but she's alive, and she's not captured, so that's a plus. Then she's like, oh, I think I better leave because Marines are coming in. The first time in history men have invaded like this. As long as I'm here, Navy ships won't start coming. But where would I go? And then she's thinking about Luffy. I'll get back into that in a minute, because it goes back to what I said in the previous few chapters. We go back to a few weeks prior, and we see the Marines led by Kobe are attacking Kuja. I guess the most intriguing part about this is the Pacifista that's designed as a small child in the design of a young Boa Hancock, but we see she's a Lunarian. And Blackbeard pretty much confirms this. But she's using a Pacifista blast, which demolishing ships, and then out of nowhere in comes Teach. Blackbeard makes his appearance, and he did say the last time we saw him, it's about time we go and retrieve them. We don't want the Marines getting them first. I'm guessing he was referring to the Devil Fruits because that's why he's here. They're on about, hey, we should catch a Boa Hancock. And this is really messed up on the part of Blackbeard, so you can have your way with it once we take a power. So, I mean, you can only imagine what that means. The Marines are asking the Vice Admiral, we need the commands from you to engage Blackbeard. And they're like, hold fire, we need to wait from HQ first. And Blackbeard's like, I'm not here for you, please. Get on out of here. He wants Boa Hancock. Kobe sees this and he's trying to figure a way out of this because he's in trouble too. Kobe's trying to sympathize with Boa Hancock, but Boa Hancock isn't listening. So Kobe's like, hey, the Navy isn't looking for a fight. If you surrender, I promise we'll leave you immediately. Yeah, the Marines are not looking for a fight yet. They're storming Amazon Lily. Good job, Kobe. Boa Hancock doesn't buy a word of this, so don't waste your breath. I'll never submit to another's captivity. This is where things get crazy here, because it looks like Boa Hancock's going to step in, do something which would have been epic. And we see the child, and Blackbeard's face is one of either complete fright or complete shock. I don't know, but it's like he sees this child, and all we know is that she's a pacifista who looks like a younger version of Boa Hancock, which I'll get into. I'm wondering if Vegapunk is behind this, if this was the SSG weapon that Fujitora was talking about. I don't know, because this even caught Blackbeard by surprise. You know this is not a joke when he's forced to use armament hockey, given his Devil Fruit ability and the fact that he used Black Hole after that. And we see how a bunch of Marines turn to stone through Boa Hancock. Then Blackbeard comes in, grabs a hold of Boa Hancock.
During this interaction with Blackbeard and Boa Hancock, Oda takes this opportunity to give us more bounty reveals, since we're about to enter the final saga. So we already know Blackbeard's bounty from a few years ago, but now we're getting Boa Hancock's bounty in the same situation where she's being grabbed. Boa Hancock's bounty is at 1,659,000,000, which is impressive when you consider the fact the only female above her is Big Mom, so that technically makes her the female with the second highest bounty in One Piece. Robin is number 3 because she's under $1 billion now, and so that's pretty epic in its own right. Plus, Blackbeard is giving compliments for not only taking out some of the Marines under Kobe, taking out some of Blackbeard's crew members. He's giving props, so that's pretty cool. It's cool like the likes of Robin and now Boa Hancock are getting some respect in the series after so long of waiting.
Kobe's like, yo, if you do that, all the subordinates, and Blackbeard says, I've had my eye on your power for quite a while. That's a problem if Blackbeard manages to get his hand on Boa Hancock's Devil Fruit, because it's kind of a broken ability. So Boa Hancock's like, yo, if you two leave, I'll turn them back to normal. Blackbeard's like, no, I don't buy that, because as soon as I let you go, you're going to just turn us into stone, right? So, like, this is a real head scratcher, but I guess I've got to kill you. Kobe's like, don't throw those lives away. This blew me away, because this is like a Shanks 2.0 moment. Because out of nowhere, in comes Rayleigh stepping into Amazon Lily. Everyone's shot. And Kobe gets the exact same expression that a lot of Marines had, a lot of people had, once Shanks came onto Marineford. So it's appropriate because Kobe was the one that saved. This time it's Boa Hancock that gets saved by Rayleigh. And it's kind of a bluff because we get to find out why. But it's kind of cool. Rayleigh's doing something for the first time in a while. Rayleigh's like, yo, Hancock, release everybody that's been turned to stone. I will ensure this de-escalates without issues. Then the invaders will leave the island. I won't allow any funny business. And you know Rayleigh's a boss when even Blackbeard just dips. He forgets all about capturing Boa Hancock. But we find out there's a situation by the end.
What's on this mysterious pacifista? But before I do, I just want to make a touch that we see that not only Rayleigh but Shaki is also on Amazon Lily, and Rayleigh is talking about how it's good that things worked out because it was a bluff. They got lucky because he's not in his prime anymore, so he wouldn't have been able to deal with the Black Boy pirates had they called his bluff. But they got lucky. Obviously, Blackbeard decided not this time, some other day. Points out to me that Boa Hancock is going to have a massive role in the future. But also this mysterious pacifista. Now we know as a kid, Boa Hancock was captured by the celestial dragons, the Tenryubito. She and her sisters got freed by Fisher's Tigers. There has to be a reason for it, and maybe Imusama is behind this, ordered Vegapunk to create a clone of sorts of Boa Hancock for when she was like captured, and also combine it with Lunarian DNA. That's what I think is going on. And if that's the case, who's to say that other people that's been captured by the celestial dragons can't be cloned into pacifistas, like we've been getting with Kuma? Can you imagine an army of them with Lunarian DNA going ham, shooting pacifista beams all over the place? I mean, that kid wasn't a joke.
So Rayleigh's on Amazon Lily, and I guess this is where we go back to the present day, where Boa Hancock thinking about leaving because she's a target and it's going to leave Marines to Amazon Lily if she doesn't leave, which is why she's thinking about Luffy. So first off, the fact that she's thinking about leaving because she's been pursued by multiple Marines, even though she can deal with it, that's not a problem. It's the same thing. It's a similar situation with Mihawk. Like, he could deal with it easily, but it's just a hassle. He doesn't want it. Although Mihawk just wants to live in peace. Boa Hancock just doesn't want to bring trouble to Amazon Lily. I think that's obvious. And the fact it's not a throwaway line. It's a gag, but at the same time, it's not a throwaway line when she's thinking about marrying Luffy. I think something's going to come with that way, because Luffy did say after the time skip, I do want to meet you again. So that's going to happen. And I think the fastest way to do that is to I hate say this, but if Boa Hancock is having thoughts about leaving Amazon Lily, then it makes perfect sense for Cross Guild to actually recruit her. And they were also pursued by Marines. I want to know more about the piece of Pacifista that looks like a Boa Hancock when she was a kid. The only thing to note is she has wings and dark skin, like a Lunarian, like we saw with King. I don't know if that's the case here. She's just a failed experimentation from Vegapunk. That's my guess. But the end of the chapter reveals that Kobe has been captured by Blackbeard, which is a complete twist because we thought Boa Hancock was the one that was captured. Because back at Jump Festa a couple of years ago, when Oda made his speech that, hey, we're going to find out what happened to Zabo, Vivi, and Boa Hancock. Something may have happened. Something bad may have happened. Like, I'm still under the impression that Vivi is with Sabo right now, regardless of whether or not what we find out through his call with Koala. And now we know Boa Hancock she dodged a bullet, like I said, but it's only because of Rayleigh showing it, which is completely epic and unexpected. But now Kobe's the one that's in trouble, and which also, does that mean that we're going to see Sword deal with the Blackbeard pirates pretty soon? Because I think Kobe's a monumental part of that, and he's part of the future that's going to lead the Marines, so he can't die. Why Blackbeard captured Kobe in the first place, or if it's just a bargaining ship, I don't know. But that's going to be very interesting to find out. I want to know more about this Lunarian. It's cool that it's different than having different designs, other than the different design of Kuma that we've been getting. So now this is completely new, something we've never seen before. On top of that, it looks like it's a combination because she has the fighting capabilities of Boa Hancock, which forced Teach to use Almond Hockey, which I don't think we've ever seen that before. On top of that, she has Lunarian wings, much like King. I don't think she's a Lunarian. I think she's an experimentation with Dr. Vegapunk. But we'll wait and find out. We'll wait and see about that. Maybe through the cover story we'll learn more about Mads, because Caesar is helping out the Fin Smokes. Oh no, this is a crazy and epic chapter to come back to. So let me know what you guys think down below. That's going to do it for today, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Like the review if you did, a thumbs up. I appreciate that. Subscribe to for more One Piece. Catch you guys later. Thanks, guys.